Hey there, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. Welcome to another episode of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show on AfterBuzz TV. Tonight we are talking about Season 4, Episode 11, Wake Up. It's time to wake up, agents. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
How can we be sure that any of this is real, guys? Or are we just in a simulation, man?
I'll pinch Jesse.
That felt pretty real, man.
That feels real?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Perception is everything. Hello, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. Welcome to another episode of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show on AfterBuzz TV. Today we are talking about the episode Wake Up. Let me introduce my fantastic panel. To my left, Jesse Klein.
Hey everyone, I am excited to be back.
Yay!
It's been so long. Yeah, I assure you I am not an LMD.
I was about to say, I have trust issues now whenever somebody
Yeah.
goes away for an extended period of time.
I promise you I am not an LMD. If I am, whoever made
Just
me,
what an LMD would say.
real boring job.
Of all the people you could have made an LMD of,
Yeah, real boring job. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about the show. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number one.
Zach Wilson.
I am Zach Wilson, also known as That Zach Wilson on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D's back.
Woot woot.
Well, I want to get into this episode. I have some things to say.
Me too.
But before we do, Tehran sadly can't join us, but be sure to follow him on Twitter as well. I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter at @themenguin. That's TheMenguin. We are going to be keeping an eye on the hashtag ABTVMarvel, as well as keeping an eye on the live chat for as long as the computer stays alive. And because it will probably die soon, we will go ahead really quickly. We want to talk to you about iTunes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Tehran, it was a perfect, because we have one review this week that I just want to shout out, and you guys can always get a shout out giving us a review on iTunes, because it helps keep the lights on here.
It is the best way to let our producers know you like the show we're putting on.
This is Keep Up the Puns!
Why?
It says, Joy you cute cuisine. You guys are doing a great job with this after show. I sincerely enjoy each episode you put out, and you all have such great reactions and theories. Tehran is a great addition to this show.
I agree.
He brings a different point of view to the show, which is always great to hear. All in all, you guys rock.
I don't know how I feel
Tehran
about
will
that.
never hear that review.
He won't.
Well, we love hearing from you guys, and we love that we have an international audience. It blows our mind every single time to find out that we have fans all around the world. We love talking to you guys about this show.
We do.
Let's get down to it, guys. This one, we seem to have different feelings on it. I thought this episode was kind of predictable in terms of the preview that we got last week in terms of that stuff.
Yeah.
But there were aspects of this episode that I really liked in terms of like the political side of things. I wanted to know, what do you guys feel about this episode?
I don't know. Like, look, S.H.I.E.L.D. is such a fantastic show that there have been very few episodes throughout its run, especially, as we always say, since that season 1 episode 16 barrier.
Yeah.
There's been almost no episodes that have been a down moment.
That have been straight up bad episodes.
I would say that there hasn't been a bad episode, but there have been episodes that were less than stellar. For me, this one fell into that category.
Yeah, this felt. I think I'm more on Zach's side than I am on yours, which is convenient because we're on opposite sides of the table. Thank you.
AfterBuzz Civil War.
Thank you, in-house band.
Be here all week.
To me, this felt like a filler episode. I think a lot of the story. We for the most part ended it in the same place that we began in. We got some information, there's some stuff, but for the most part, all of the arcs seem very self-contained, and none of the reveals were that surprising.
Were that shocking.
Yeah.
I think we ended the last podcast with, I think I said, oh, it's gonna be a program in May's head. I
Yeah,
really
no.
hope it's not that, because I just said it, and it was that.
Well,
it was
and
pretty much
it was-
exactly what we thought
It was very
gonna be.
clear from the last episode that that's what it was going to be, that all of her escape attempts were going to be simulations. That wasn't difficult to predict. Like, I mean...
But it wasn't that it was that we thought it was hard to predict, but they played it
As though
like
it
we should have
was
been
a-
shocked.
And,
Yeah.
and to spend so much time on like those fights, which normally I'd be like, awesome, May's fighting an android. I want to see that. When you know that it's not real and there are no stakes, then it feels not as important and not as interesting.
Like, do you guys feel like that, like we would have been given more we would have had more investment in this fights if we hadn't had that conversation between Radcliffe and Ada of she needs an adversary?
I think if they just hadn't like spaced it out throughout like the
Yeah.
first like 40 minutes of the episode, because they would show that and then go to the other storylines and then go back to that and then back to the other storylines. If they had just done that like nonstop from the top, I think it would have played a lot cleaner, because then you would have had that reveal within the first 15 minutes.
They had 3 cut-tos of May running upstairs and opening doors. Like that wasn't needed for us to get that story across.
Fair enough. That being said, I did like the fight scenes. I thought, yeah, we knew exactly what the context was, but I thought the fight scenes were pretty darn good.
I didn't care about them.
But he's right. Like the
No
the
stakes.
fight coordination was just as good as it always is,
Yeah.
which is spectacular. But it without any stakes, it just I couldn't get invested in it. And the twist at the end with it, like the way that they were finally able to contain her was using Bahrain. That was
such
awesome.
That's such a more interesting story.
And I think that's why they dragged out that particular, in terms of cutting back to it every so often. But yeah, they could have had that entirely in the first 15 minutes and saved the Bahrain reveal for the very end like they did, because I actually do feel like that was the perfect note to end on.
Or like go through, if they really wanted to fake us out more, like go through that first run through faster, and maybe they change up how it starts every time, so that like we're not sure each time if this is like her fighting finally through the program.
I would have liked to have seen like a Groundhog's Day May, where we see her waking up and like doing it, and like Ada. It was a lot of tell not show, where like Ada tells her like this is the.
You would have liked to see her figure it out on her own.
I would have liked to have seen her like if the first time she gets cuts loose and like Ada throws something at her and she gets impaled, the second time she catches it because she remembers it, and like seeing her learn her way through it is more interesting, because then the stakes are, oh, will May beat this system this time?
It's a virtual run Lola run, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been cool, because that would have been something like if you know the audience is. This is what I've said to people, like talking about like how you structure a sci-fi show when you have a mystery. It's like if the audience if you think the audience is going to figure it out at some point, like you're dropping hints, you got to give it to them right away. Because if you think that modern day TV viewers are going to take a long time to figure out what you're doing, you're wrong.
Yeah.
So just
People
use
are savvy,
that.
yeah.
Lean into it. Like if you know that people are going to pick up on it right away, just give it to them right away, and use the fact that they know to create a bigger, crazier storyline.
Don't waste any time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I will say I do like this episode for one reason, and it's because it gave us steaming pile of fart pellets. And for that, I will always love this episode. They're like, oh, it's the 10 o'clock. It's the 10 o'clock time. Steaming pile of fart pellets. And then at one point, Coulson says, like, they're busting our balls.
Yeah, the steaming pile of fart pellets. I stopped and I was like, wait. Are we watching like this airplane version of like the R-rated
Surely
Shield?
you can't be serious.
I was like, what is going on? And like Coulson's like, they're busting our balls all over the place, which isn't like super R-rated, but just kind of weird.
You're breaking my
in
balls
this
here,
show.
Tablet. You're breaking my balls. No, I will say that, kind of talking about the May side of things, I wanted to get your guys' opinion on how you thought about Robo-May kind of coming to terms with what she actually is. I feel like because she immediately went to Radcliffe and knew, she's like, how much of me is me? Like, she knew right away that, like, she's like, well, I'm probably a robot. Well, shoot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that tracks as far as last week we had Ada come in and, like, you know, there's a lot LMDs on the brain. So I think it tracks that she would be like, oh, I must also be a robot. And
Shoot.
I think that tracks. It was an interesting conversation between her and Radcliffe about that he didn't program her to not say who she is to Coulson, but programmed her to not want to, which to me feels like a convenient loophole for her to eventually tell him who she is.
Be able to, like, wriggle out of it.
Because May's done a lot of things that she doesn't want to do, but does it anyway.
See Bahrain.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I think that eventually is how she'll get past it.
Yeah.
But I think that it makes sense in a way, because to program somebody not to do something is to break human nature.
Yes.
And if you need her to behave like a human, then you want to control their want, not... It's better to, like, give somebody something instead of rather than just say no.
Oh, I wasn't criticizing that at all. I was saying that tracks. That makes a lot of sense.
I didn't think I was agreeing with you.
I feel really weird about Robo-May not, knowing now that she isn't the real May, but still 100% being content taking May's place. Just like, I feel like having May, May's consciousness and her memories within her, I feel like knowing that she's a robot, and yeah, there's a lot of Radcliffe programming in there too, but I feel like she'd be like, well, I'm just a pale imitation. Like, I don't, it's weird that, like, I guess because she wants to be with Coulson, that she's like, yeah, I'm okay taking.
Well, it's that weird thing when you have an AI, because in a sense, like, if, like, that's assuming that she sees self-preservation as preserving the human May, but this LMD is still a person with, in a sense, with wants and desires, and has that drive for self-preservation. This, like, Robo May wants to live just like regular May wants to live. And she knows if she's found out, she's gonna be put down. Also,
it might be like that weird kind of robot circular logic where it's like she now knows that she is super strong and, like, super fast and can take a few bullets without dying. So maybe she's like, oh, I'm better than actual May because I have all of her fighting, but I am built better than she is. So it might be the best for S.H.I.E.L.D. if I stick around and I could protect Coulson because I am a better version of actual May.
And because I feel all the same thing she does, I also, which this episode is like shipping them hard. We've been seeing it coming like all season long, but like other people are like calling them out on it now. So it's like, okay, that's clearly where that kind of trek is going.
Oh, it's not a ship, it's a cruise. Like, it's already left the harbor.
Ooh.
Thank you, in-house band.
Give it up for the band, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys. But yeah, it's interesting, and I think you guys felt like the programming stuff was a little bit of a lackluster. I feel like Robo-May's emotional journey makes up for that a little bit.
Yes. But again, I kind of feel like she's in the same place she was at the beginning of the episode.
That's true, because like she doesn't know anything new other than because she's like, oh, I'm a robot, and then by the end of this, it's, yep, I'm a robot.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna tell anyone about it.
Zip.
So
I mean, I think her, like, Robo-May's storyline moved forward. It was a small step, but
yes.
Like the confirmation and the continual, like,
well,
now
and the knowledge
she's, like,
that she can't fight Radcliffe on it either.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was more for the point of ironic detachment of, like, now the audience knows stuff that either May won't remember or no one else knows. So I think that was the purpose of that.
I mean, I do continually raise an eyebrow towards Ada, though, because she's like, wouldn't it be easier and just more efficient to just kill regular May? And I'm like, ooh, you are an unpleasant person to be around.
You are
Cold logic of a
cliche,
robot.
yeah.
Like, it's just making the calculation. Like, if what they're doing is supposed to save millions of lives, and keeping May alive it could potentially prevent that, then the mathematics say you shouldn't keep May alive.
Yes. If your assets are hurting you, then it makes sense to cut your assets.
Yeah.
Even if those assets are humans.
It's just interesting to see the way Radcliffe is continually justifying it to himself that this is the right thing to do. Oh, no, we don't want to hurt anybody. This is to help people. That only lasts for so long when you team up with an evil senator. Speaking of, let's talk about the Fitz's sort of journey in this episode, because he starts off still science cheating on Gemma. What did you guys think of? Because watching this, I still felt like at the beginning of this episode that he was straight up science cheating on her, and I wasn't happy about it. But he insists when he's found out that this is an investigation, because he was making sure that his hypothesis that Radcliffe was involved is correct.
Yeah, this is one of the stories I had an issue with the writing, because I don't see any reason why he wouldn't just tell Gemma up front that he was
Like,
doing
I
an
suspect
investigation.
Radcliffe.
It was just like, it felt like it was really fabricated tension, and like two of these stories I was like, why did we see this? Like, why did we need to see this? And this is one of them.
If he had reason to suspect Gemma was involved, or like suspect Gemma was an LMD or something like that,
Then it makes sense.
It would
sense.
need something like that to justify the fact that he was hiding this from her. Because like, that's fine if he suspected this, then
That would make sense.
there's no reason for him not to bring other people in, especially Gemma, who he is so tight with. Like, I could see him not trusting like even somebody as close as May with it, because he's a little more removed, not sure who he can trust. But Gemma, it's Fitzsimmons.
I think what they were going for, because they did drop the hint early on that there was another LMD in use, I think what they were going for was that Fitz was actually the LMD, and that he was, and they were playing it off where, is it just Fitz being obsessed with this Ada technology, or is it LMD Fitz, who doesn't know he's an LMD, actively playing into Radcliffe's
I
head?
actually did have a moment where I turned to Jesse when we were watching. I was like, I think Fitz is an LMD, but not at all in that moment. It was only in the scene with him and Radcliffe.
Well, yeah, for me, seeing who the secret LMD is, I think for me it's what the LMD wants, which is to get the Darkhold. And Fitz was not doing anything to get closer to the Darkhold. He was just investigating LMDs. So I never once considered that he was an actual
He was the LMD.
Yeah, I only thought it might have been just the way that the scene was playing out between him and Radcliffe when he refers to him as his son. You're like a son to me. I'm like, 'cause you built him.
Sure.
But of course that was not what it wound up being. But yeah, the thing with Fitz, like they played it up to this point as if he was obsessed with her, with like Ada's, like why the Darkhold corrupted her, and then they just sort of forgot that angle on it. And like, it's okay if he started there and then he like was like, wait a minute,
Like, this doesn't make any sense.
But that went away in like a line.
It was it was just like, oh, it wasn't that. It was him.
So the stakes of the
I
situation.
kind of thought that,
went
like,
away.
again, kind of going to the LMD thing, I thought when he grabbed the gun from, the other security guy and was getting ready to shoot Radcliffe, I thought this is where we were going to get the reveal that he was the LMD that Radcliffe had been referring to earlier.
Interesting.
But then he just goes ahead and shoots Radcliffe in the head, and it turns out that Radcliffe was an LMD.
All right, chat. No LMD Grant Ward. No.
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 Guys.
He's too busy starring in Gavin Stone. in theaters right now. And Shawn Michaels is in that movie as well.
Guys,
No!
we're done. We miss Brett Dalton, but Ward is done, and Ward was done prior to like the whole Hive thing because he was dead when Hive took over his body.
Yeah.
It would literally be beating not a dead horse, but like a dead
S.H.I.E.L.D.
character.
agent.
Yeah.
Hydra.
Beating a dead S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Hydra agent.
Yeah, or a Hydra agent.
A
yeah.
dead Nazi. Beating a dead Nazi.
Bringing
Twitter,
him
tell us if that's a bad thing.
maybe for like a season finale thing if we had have a weird simulation
Please
or
no.
just as a way to bring the actor back for a hot
If the
second.
show
but there's no need
ends,
for it.
I have no problem with some weird, ghostly Brett Dalton thing.
Jedi ghost.
I don't know what it would be. Like, here's the thing. Like, series finales, like,
May.
often have moments where
It's your
stuff
May.
like that comes up. Either it's because they've been, like, shot and they're going through, like, flashbacks.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like, I would not mind seeing Brett Dalton again, but I do not
Just-
need a
no.
robot
No.
Ward.
Okay.
No.
I'm
Alright.
okay. I'm okay if the series finale at the retirement bar where they sent away Hunter and Mockingbird, they're all there and they all hold shots and as we go starts
we
playing and like everyone has
remember
flashbacks to the
all
first
the
season and I'm okay with that.
times
Yeah, that's fine. And then the bartender,
The graduation.
the bartender is Ward with the goatee. He was there the entire time.
All right.
Okay.
But throughout this
Good.
episode, they did do a good job playing a few times, like with, this could be the LMD. Like, they really leaned into Mac.
Yeah.
In a
In that
gross
scene.
way.
Yeah. Should we talk about Mac a little bit because he and Yo-Yo.
Talk about Momo.
Yeah.
This was the other story. I was like, why am I watching this?
Maybe I'm just a sap, but like I literally said F you show like right after it happened, but that was just because I was like it hit me harder than I was expecting to, and I owe that 100% to the performance.
Sure.
Like it did come out of nowhere because basically Mac goes away. He and Yo-Yo are spending some quality time together, which
A really weird cut where Yo-Yo's just on top of him and then is done. It was a very weird cut.
we're at a later time slot. You think they'd get a little bit more
Yeah, there would be
explicit.
something.
This is the network that has, like, Scandal and...
It looked like Yo-Yo was just sitting on him. And it was like, well, I'm going to lie down now.
But they're finally getting together, and but then he mysteriously is like, "Oh, I have a thing. You guys will be fine." And he asks for personal leave, and I actually really did like Yo-Yo kind of probing Coulson, like, "Hey, what's that about? You wanna tell me? You wanna just give me the skivvy on that?"
Yeah.
I thought their interaction was great because I don't feel like we see Coulson and Yo-Yo going on missions together very often. So
I had problems with this plotline. Like, the whole idea that S.H.I.E.L.D. clandestine spy agency, like, that has dossiers on the most secretive black ops agents in the world, didn't know that he had, like, Coulson had only seen what was in his file, like, didn't know
Yeah.
that much about him. Bull.
that seemed to ring a little untrue because I mean, again, yeah, they spent so much time like on missions together, and
Oh, I don't even mean him not opening up. That actually reads for Mac. But the fact that, like, Coulson, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., didn't
know
have,
that
like,
he had a
massive
secret daughter.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like, those are the things that you know about people.
that Coulson didn't say, like, oh, it's going to be the anniversary of his daughter's death. He's probably dealing with something.
Yeah.
Like, Coulson knows everything about everyone.
like it is possible that he knew and he was just saying that to
That's
be
not
like
how they played it in
Yeah.
the show. Like, that
No.
would have been fine if he's like, I know, but it's not my place to
it's
say.
not my place to
This
say.
this entire story really bothered me just because, again, like, number one, it made Yo-Yo a weaker character to me, because she was like, I don't want to be a cliche, and then acted completely cliche the entire time.
There are times where that can help you get away with stuff. This was not one of those.
And also, like, she ended up seeming like she was like a jealous cliche type girlfriend.
When that hasn't been her personality.
Which hasn't been her personality, and then got it turned around on her, where it was like, no, you're trying to break up with me while I'm trying to deal with my dead daughter. You're actually a bad person. Like, it made Yo-Yo look bad. And it was all, again, it felt like manufactured tension. It seemed like they had Mac for like half a day. He was just in that room.
Like, he was supposed to play a larger role, and then the actor got called away for something, and they're like, well, make something up. I don't know. He's got a dead daughter.
He was just in that bedroom. We didn't see him anywhere else. It just felt like, I thought the acting was good.
Yeah.
I thought it was, I would have enjoyed it more, except for me, I was like, this story, I don't like being negative coming back. This is my first time back. I was like, this story didn't progress us anywhere. Yo-Yo still likes Mac. Mac is still loyal to Yo-Yo. We know a little bit more emotional backstory to Mac, but it was not, like, it didn't, we already knew Mac was a big softie.
Well, yeah, we know he's a good person.
Yeah.
We know that, like, family is very important to him, and that he's a good guy, like, just generally speaking, a good guy.
Which we already knew before this.
I was suckered into the sentimentality of it, like, because, like I said, when it happened, when he's, and again, I owe this 100% to the performance, when he's giving this monologue, I was tearing up a bit. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then the scene cuts away, and I was like, like I said, F you, show.
But, like, why not do something, like, you can do anything with this kind of emotional, like, family thing. Why not do something with his brother who we've already met?
Yeah, who we already have a connection to, and that's
or
where I
have
have
him,
to, yeah.
Or have him take Yo-Yo to his child's grave. Instead
So
of,
it's show, don't tell.
Again, it felt like they were telling a lot and we weren't seeing a lot. Like, if Yo-Yo's saying, like, you know, listen, Turtle Man, I like you. I want to know if this is real. Like, it seems like you're distant. And then Mac takes her to a graveyard and shows her his child's grave. He's like, this is how serious I am about you. I'm sorry I felt that I've been distant. This is my child's grave. Like, that is a huge emotional moment, and it shows more.
And especially if that's, like, the last serious relationship that he was in.
Yeah.
It makes sense why he would go very slowly with Yo-Yo. And if that's what they were kind of trying to get across, there are probably better ways of doing it. Yeah, I get what they were trying to do, but, like... Yeah, I understand that there's a few problems trying to get across this way.
Also, was I the only person who, that moment when he said, yeah, Hope, I went, he dated Hope Van Dyne? Or Hope Him?
Yeah.
The fake Van Dyne. I was like, Hope Him? Please.
I was going to say, how old is Mac, if that's the case?
The timeline's out.
Oh, I was thinking Janet. I
said Van Dyne because I was too excited. And she's basically the stand-in for Janet.
But then he's like, my daughter Hope died, and I was like, Hope died? Like, that's an unfortunate sentence.
I just heard Hope in my brain zeroed in on a Pim.
I literally wrote Hope is dead in my notes, and then a little surprised face.
I thought about the X-Men universe and got very sad.
Aww.
So we're getting a TV show.
I know,
Don't be
TV
sad.
Legion? Are you guys gonna watch?
No, I'm not even talking about Legion. Like, they just confirmed Matt Nix, the producer, like Bird Notice stuff, is doing a X-Men, some kind of X-Men original show.
I'm very excited about Legion.
Color that
Legion.
For Fox.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
Oh. Well, news and gossip. Anyway.
It has bands.
There's this little other plot line I feel like we haven't talked about yet.
Is it the Daisy going to sit down and sign the Sokovia Accords? Because it's kind of there is so much, and this is where like the real meat of the episode is, because we have a plot. They're planning on simultaneously using this to not only, get Daisy out there as a public figure and as like a 100% legal S.H.I.E.L.D. agent now by signing the Accords, but they're also like using this as an opportunity to bug Senator Nadir's office since she'll be at the hearing. Now, talking about contrivances, it's like there was probably a better way to go about bugging the senator's office and or spying on her in general.
Yep.
But I actually really liked all of this stuff because the interactions, I really liked all of the interactions between all of the different characters and Mace this time around, because everybody is essentially knocking his authority. Like, Talbot's not talking to him anymore. He's talking to Coulson because Coulson's running operations. Every time he tried to get a word in edgewise, everybody just steamrolled over him. The only person that gave him any time to talk that actually listened to him a little bit was Daisy. And I really liked the dynamic that they had right before her hearing.
Yeah, I thought it was all fine. I would have liked for the episode to have been about it. It felt, I think it was like one commercial break worth of that, and
it was
then,
like a C story.
Yeah,
when it
should have been the A plot.
Yeah,
and it got like, I guess they're gonna get yelled at or like investigated, but like they're S.H.I.E.L.D. So like, it felt like it got solved really easily as well. Where I would have liked to have seen more consequences for it. I do.
Other than we're free to go.
Those may be coming.
Yeah, I do really like that Nadir seems to be very much on the offensive and a couple steps ahead of them. I think that's interesting.
That's
as far
really
as storytelling.
It makes her a good antagonist.
I also think she's a fantastic actress, and I'm really interested to see what they do with her.
Oh yeah, I loved the during the best part of the episode was just
hearing.
her interrogating Daisy, and Daisy going, Inhumans are normal. There are coworkers, there are friends, there are brothers.
You get it, Nadir?
Mic drop.
No, but I thought that was actually a really good back and forth.
Yeah,
because
it was fantastic.
Nadir was firing questions, and like, you know what? I again, a year ago, I would have been like, no one would call her out on like the fact that she just blatantly distinguished them as abnormal. But we live in 2017.
We live in a world where that's not that surprising.
We're not even
going
to go down that road.
Nope.
But so I'm sorry I had brought us there. But
no, it's okay.
I really liked the way that Daisy had her answers and had them so strong that she like shut them down. But like Nadir as a good adversary, it didn't even matter. She had too many things up her sleeve.
Yeah, there's all that money that you stole, allegedly from criminal sources. Has the government seen any of that? Well, then either you did that, as a criminal and you broke the law, or S.H.I.E.L.D. condoned it and S.H.I.E.L.D. violated the Sokovia Accords.
Real simple way to get out of that. You just go, that is an undercover operation, and we are in a public forum that is classified.
Yeah.
I cannot talk about this.
And no one did that!
No one claimed classified. Also, why was her... this is one thing I didn't understand. Why was her signing the Accords... Well, why did there have to be a trial for that?
I think because she had been...
Yeah, Daisy had been like an outlaw.
Yeah, because she
So
had
they had
been
to
engaging
approve it?
in so much criminal activity, they had to say, it was probably presented to them as just a formality.
Okay, because Yo-Yo basically had to sign one of those supermarket signature pads.
Yeah, I think it was more of like Senator. I think Nadir wanted to make a big show and tell out of it. That this is the S.H.I.E.L.D. They're signing an outlaw. Let's make it big and public so that I can take advantage
that
of
I can either publicly discredit this one person, or I can publicly discredit S.H.I.E.L.D. as an entire agency
by association.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes sense, and again, as you pointed out, she's a great adversary for being, Daisy is smart as a whip, and she can get quips in there, and she makes good speeches, and she makes great cases for herself. But yeah, as you guys said, Nadir just has too much on them at the moment.
Yeah.
especially since we still don't know who the leak is.
Well,
no,
we do.
Oh,
It was
Radcliffe, duh.
Yeah.
Radcliffe via May,
Yeah.
Robo May,
Yeah.
is how they got all those secrets out.
Yeah.
That I like that twist that made that clicked in terms of plotline.
But also, we know that she has a superior.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping we were going to get to see who the superior was at the very end of this episode, and that would be the cliffhanger.
So, Jesse, you haven't been back since they introduced the concept of the superior.
Yeah.
Who do you think it is?
Do you have a theory? Because we've basically come up dry. Like there's a superior in the comics, but it's such a weird thing.
Yeah,
and
superior
we've talked
in the
about
comics
it.
is, my only thought to who the superior is, it's not Ward, Chad.
It's not LMD Ward. It's not Agent Blake either.
I was thinking maybe it's possibly one of the Hydra agents or Hydra leaders that we think are dead. Like
Ant in the chat thinks it could be Red Skull's daughter, Sin.
Oh, I mean, that would be a nice way to introduce her.
Which would be an interesting plot. I feel like Red Skull family might be a little too close to the movies. I don't know. That's a tough one. That might work.
What's the next movie that's coming out?
The next one is
Spiderman?
Spiderman.
No,
Ragnarok?
Guardians come.
Guardians, yeah.
Guardians
Okay.
come.
I doubt that
before-
it's tied into that.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, that's gonna be too far away for Shield. Unless something happens with Guardians it's unexpected.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably gonna be like a Hydra guy.
Oh, Victor Tang. Could Superior be MODOK?
I mean, I would love it to be MODOK.
Look, MODOK is such an absurd character. I mean, there's rumors about Peter Dinklage playing him in Infinity War. I don't buy that. But AIM has already been established in the MCU.
Yeah, sure.
So it's the kind of
Iron
thing
Man
where
2.
I could see them being like, you know what, we already did AIM, so we can't do it again in the in the big screen stuff. But we could. But AIM is perfect for Shield.
Yeah,
AIM is the perfect villain for Shield to go up against. If the Watchdogs and everything is some crazy, overly thought out, like world domination, like techno plotline thing that's come up with by MODOK.
That'd be great.
Which, Jesse, should we explain who MODOK is?
MODOK is a giant head in a chair with lasers. It's
He was in the Hulk animated TV show way back in the day, if you guys grew up in the 90s.
What is it? I always forget what it stands for.
It stands for a lot of different things. It changes every. It's
Okay, that's what I
machine
can never remember.
only designed for killing, I believe it is, or designed only for
But
killing.
yeah, he's basically like the head the
Something-
size of like a giant torso, who just kind of floats around.
He's got
smart,
tiny
right?
arms and
Yeah,
tiny
he's
legs.
extremely smart.
He's very intelligent, and he's got laser eyes or a laser crystal. He's a weirdo.
No, not Zola. Zola's been done.
Well, the only
dead.
other thing, and granted, I don't want to say like this for sure, but there are a couple of people who have commented on our videos saying that like it could be Justin Hammer coming back from Hammer Tech,
love that.
because like they've made some subtle references to
They've
hammers.
used the word hammer a few times.
but I
which
don't
again-
think that's real foreshadowing.
Well, but with it's a loaded word. In
So
Marvel.
do we think that this is a question that Zach and I were talking about. Do we think that Radcliffe was the other LMD, or do we think that there is another one in?
It's entirely possible that there are more LMDs at play.
There could be, but like we went back and rewatched the opening scene just to be sure, and the way that he phrases it in his conversation with Ada, he says there is a second LMD in operation. Doesn't say that they're inside S.H.I.E.L.D. already.
Yes.
Says in operation. So I took that to mean to be referring to the Radcliffe LMD that we see at the end.
And I took
what
that to
thought.
mean that the Radcliffe LMD hadn't been in operation yet, that he didn't start that LMD up yet. I personally think it's Talbot, because
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
because he's the only person who made moves to acquire the Darkhold in this entire thing. Because he when he was talking about, like, if Nadir finds out that we were spying on us, they're going to have to get an investigation and try and take all of S.H.I.E.L.D's assets. You should transfer your assets to me, and I will take, so that they won't get a hold of it. And to me, that means that he's trying to get that Darkhold, because Darkhold is part of S.H.I.E.L.D.
But
asset.
again, LMD subconsciously sabotaged
Exactly.
S.H.I.E.L.D. without even realizing it.
Exactly. Like, he's all he knows is that for some reason he wants to get that Darkhold or the S.H.I.E.L.D. assets and doesn't know why. That's just his programming.
I would love it if Talbot actually turned out to be an LMD.
I think just pissed off Talbot in a closet is very funny.
Yeah.
He's just getting
That would be
shiatsu
amazing.
massages over and over
He wouldn't
again
question
in
it.
a closet.
I'm trying to think who. I'm still stuck on the superior. Because
Like, who could be the superior?
The chat said like Nitro. Again, not Arnim Zola, because he's been used. Like, his story has been done.
Well, and not to mention, we didn't really touch on it in this episode, but like Nadir's brother is still out there. VJ, you know, he could very well become Taskmaster, as you guys have been wanting Taskmaster to be like incorporated into the show for several seasons now.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to
now
think
I want Taskmaster to have his own Netflix series.
That would be great.
I don't want him in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I want his own Netflix series.
I will continue to predict that every character that's introduced on this show is Taskmaster.
I don't know. I think there's something to the storytelling that they're not telling us who the leader is, which means it's someone that we've already seen or know.
Yeah,
it
I
could
hate
be-
it when it's a reveal of like, we've never seen this person before.
why
Like,
would
that's one of the reasons why the Clairvoyant reveal was so interesting.
Yes.
Because it's like, oh, here it's this person that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. Like, that's a good reveal.
Yeah.
If like the reveal that the superior is just some guy, that's not really
it's
interesting.
weird.
It would have to be somebody, like, you're right, it has to be somebody that we know either as
A comic character, yeah.
as fans of S.H.I.E.L.D. or as fans of the comics. Like,
Yeah.
if it's a pre-established like comic book character, that is also a reason to keep this kind of secrecy. and
Kind of
it
like
fits.
the reveal that, you know, the director at the beginning of the season was Mace,
Yes.
the Patriot. It's like, you know, anybody who isn't familiar with the context of that character is just like, oh, whoa, the big surprise is that this guy has superpowers. That's
Yeah.
cool. But for anybody who is familiar with the character, they're like, oh, it's the Patriot. You know, so something like that would be really good too. Something where you can surprise both comic book fans and just fans of the show.
It's just a question of like who has motive to like hate Inhumans or to control somebody to take out Inhumans,
Is
even if they don't
Senator
necessarily
Kelly?
hate them.
Yeah, I mean, that's
From the
thing is-
X-Men
Like,
universe?
I started thinking, like, I'm trying to think, like, forward in the MCU, like, there is Inhumans coming down the pipeline, so, like, is it Maximus, because he's going to be probably the big bad of Inhumans, but, like, why
No,
would
they
he want
would've
to
put him
kill,
on S.H.I.E.L.D.
why would they want to kill Inhumans, like, yeah, it doesn't fit, but, like, I don't know who would have that sort of
and if
hatred
it was,
towards Inhumans.
I feel like if it was also just a new original character where they cast somebody like Constance Zimmer to play it, then they would just give out, like, hey, this person's going to be playing the superior.
I do think there's a good chance that whoever the superior is, they do not hate Inhumans, and they've been using Nadir's hatred and the Watchdog's
push
hatred
whatever they
to
are.
do something else behind the scenes.
To accomplish their own agenda.
Yeah, and they're like, nah, I don't care about Inhumans. Like, they're fine, whatever.
Who cares?
I
got this other thing going
either
on.
they're powered to the point where they don't even need to worry about Inhumans, or it's just not a factor in whatever their plan is, which MODOK makes sense for.
Yeah.
Because controlling people through
big
fear
head
and
and
power
little
of like
arms.
a senator.
to push like an arms race. Like,
Yeah.
if it's to make people so scared of Inhumans that people start contracting super weapons to protect themselves,
Which the Watchdogs have already started getting. They had
then
the
that would
Judas
make-
bullets a week ago.
Yeah.
then that would make sense as an aim goal. And then Hammer Tech, we've seen it all over the place.
Yeah. So,
Unless what if it's Norman Osborn leading Hammer?
I mean, I don't like they'd do that. I feel like they'd save Norman for the movies, but
think
I don't
so.
know.
I guess actually, with Hammer Tech connected to AIM via Iron Man 2, the Judas bullets that we saw last week were manufactured by Hammer Tech.
Yes.
As we established
Luke
in Luke Cage. So those pieces all fit together. I'm going to lock it in. MODOK is my prediction for the Superior.
Zach, I'm
MODOK.
just picturing like a giant corkboard like in your apartment and just like all these like little pieces of red string connecting these different things.
to
It's
me-
all connected.
You're not wrong.
To me, it's just Zach standing in front of a bunch of like pictures, and they're all
The
just
Sherlock
moving
thing.
in front of his face.
The Sherlock thing comes up and he's like,
Yeah. You go into your mind palace.
well, I feel like that's actually a good
Closer
place to
than you
say,
think.
do we have any predictions for the next direct episode? Because, guys,
Look who's back.
look who's back. We get Agent Koenig.
Yep.
I'm so excited!
However many of them there are, we don't actually know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. For
I've
next
never seen that man before in my life.
next
Yeah.
episode, I'm just very excited.
I have no predictions except that I'm going to be elated.
I have a feeling it might also be a kind of a filler episode, but like a comedy filler episode, so that might be
Patton
fun.
Oswalt is always a hoot.
Yeah.
I said last week that I think that I'm seeing the preview for next week. I don't know if this is gonna actually hold water,
Yeah.
but what if the Koenigs, like all of them, are the Darkhold Redeemers?
I'll agree with that prediction.
Well, they are keeping the Darkhold safe for right now.
That's the secret. There's so many of them. They've been cloning themselves to protect the Darkhold.
Now, so yeah, thoughts. We touched on it before when we got in the Koenigs in the past. Androids, clones, just regular siblings. Is the mystery of the Koenigs going to be unraveled in this next episode?
It could be anything. It can't be LMD. The timeline doesn't fit. But it could literally be like any explanation, and I don't care. It's more Patton
Holograms.
Oswalt.
Always good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always say yes to more Patton Oswalt. All right, guys. Well, I feel like that wraps it up basically for this episode. Any final thoughts?
No.
No, I'm looking forward to next week.
Yep.
Me too. It's going to be so much fun. Alrighty, Zach, where can people go if they want to find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at that Zach Wilson. That's Zach with a CH. You can also find me on AfterBuzz on Sundays talking about Grimm, or on our sister network, The Popcorn Talk, talking sci-fi once a week with Jesse Klein over here. This Sunday we're talking about the new Netflix movie, I Boy.
It's supposed to be very good.
Forget the title. I've seen no reviews for it, but the trailer looks great. It's got Maisie Williams in it. It's like a dark, like horror techno thriller.
Ooh.
It's basically
those
it's
things.
like it's a vigilante story. So
vigilante.
maybe you've read or watched some things about vigilantes before. But we're gonna be it comes out on Friday, and we're gonna be talking about it Sunday. So join us on Popcorn Talk at 4 p.m.
Yeah, I mean, I got Popcorn Talk. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1, JSSKlein, the number 1. You can see comedy videos that I write and am in at Haymaker Comedy on YouTube. We've got some fun stuff up there, and I do live comedy all over the Los Angeles area. That's all.
Oh, can I plug one more thing?
Go for it.
New video for my team that also performs the same theater as Jesse, Turncoat, that I directed, called Inception, Spin the Bottle.
There you go.
It's on YouTube.
Does it just keep spinning?
Yeah.
Way to spoil the sketch, man.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. That sounds amazing.
Go watch it. It's on my Twitter page as well.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Don't forget to follow Tehran on Twitter and all of the social media stuff. And I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I am also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz. We recapped all of season 4 of Sherlock earlier tonight. All 3 episodes back to back to back. That was fun. It was a good time, but I am exhausted. And I also write articles for The Movie Chick. That's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out. Thank you guys so much for staying up late and hanging out with us. We will see you all next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.